So what's the best hatch medium for your snake eggs? I've tried it all. Coir husk worked wonderfully for my Vietnamese blue beauties. Perlite is what I use now. Hatchrite, brilliant. You kind of don't have to do anything with it. It's already got moisture content in there and a moisture holding gel, I guess, mixed in there with it. But nowadays, perlite is what I've used for everything. Pythons, colubrids, European stuff, tropical stuff. All you're trying to do is put an egg in a humidity rich environment without the egg getting wet. You can put them on plastic trays with water underneath. You can put them in nets. Grass snakes will hatch in a net hung over the tropical fish tank at 75 Fahrenheit, I don't know, 24 Celsius. They're getting that humidity without getting wet. That's all you're trying to do. Some eggs like it more humid than others. Perlite, put the eggs on top, press them in just a little bit. Moisture content in there, not dripping on the egg. Works as well as anything. It really does. You can squeeze a clump of the perlite that you've added water to until it drips. That's going to be a very humidity rich environment, very damp. Or you can squeeze it together and it just sticks together, but not a single drip comes out. Something certainly I'd use more for my indigo snakes, or rather the crebos, to put it correctly, I guess. So I'll squeeze those eggs. No, I won't. That wouldn't do them any good. I'll squeeze that mixture really hard and I won't get any moisture come out, but it will be moist enough to clump together. Once the eggs are running in that egg box in the incubator, you'll see if it's soaked in condensation all over the lid, dripping down on the eggs. Hopefully not, or just a little bit of steaming up in there. You can gauge pretty well how sort of wet or dry your egg box is running for sure. Perlite will let you do all of that. I just buy it like this. Let me show you. I just buy a big old sack of it. Now let me just show you something here. I don't know if you saw that. You can see that, look. Do it outside, guys. Breathing any amount of dust in like that is not good for you. The boxes have been sterilised. I clean the boxes and then I use boiling water over them. I put the lids on and I tip them all over the place, over the sink, so every bit of it gets coated in boiling water. I'll put some water in the bottom already. I'll add the mixture. I want a couple of inches of substrate. Look at the dust. Honestly, do it outside. Really, really advisable. And then water's already in there. Some water's in there. Try an hour. Mix it up, get your hands in there. You're outside. Once it gets damp, the dust isn't a problem. Leave all the eggs off. This one should be the wettest box there. So it's dripping. Look at that. So that's a wet mix. And for what I'm going to put in here, I will actually put a bit more perlite in there to dry the mix down a bit. Just plain perlite. You can go on Amazon and buy a bulk bag. You can get it from a garden centre as long as it's just untreated. No chemicals in there for any kind of plant growth, any fertiliser. I'm really squeezing that hard. There's not a drop of moisture coming out, but there's moisture in there and it's clumped together. So that'll be fine. I'm going to use that one. I'm going to actually top it up a bit, but that'll be a good put to our next bunch of crebo eggs. They're fertile. Of course, once you have mixed it up, you've eliminated the dustiness, as already mentioned, really. So again, squeezing out really hard, not a drip, so that's just right for me. But I'm just going to top it up. You want plenty of room in your egg box for your eggs. You do not want your eggs swelling. They swell as they grow and mature. You don't want your eggs swelling so much that if it's on the substrate, it's touching the lid of the box, because then the egg will get condensation directly on top of it and it will go mouldy. Those eggs want to be in a humid rich environment, but you're basically trying to keep your egg shell dry on the outside. That's all this substrate is for, to keep a constant humidity in the hatch box, but placing the egg in an environment where it isn't actually getting wet. whether it's from drips from the surface of the box or sitting with its tummy, if you like, on a wet substrate. The whole point of this is when it just nestles in there, all the myriad of air gaps around there, there's plenty of airflow all around and underneath that egg. Very important indeed. So let me know what substrate you use as your reptile hatching medium, and let me know why, based on the fact maybe you've tried substrate A and it caused a problem like this, and you tried a different substrate that you now like because it doesn't cause you that problem or any other problems. There's no perfect substrate, but certainly if you're starting out breeding snakes, let me tell you, keep yourself simple, perlite, and just modify the moisture content of that mix. Don't pack it down, don't need to, just nestle your egg in there. I like perlite, it's just now, I just keep it simple. I tried all different things for different eggs. If they were expensive, I used hatchrite. I felt it was like a product that was made, bespoke, scientifically sorted. Perlite works for everything. So far, so good. So obviously the boxes have got a certain depth because you've got to stack X amount up in an incubator. But you really might want to make sure, remember, that the eggs, once nestled into the substrate slightly, are not touching and getting condensation on them like this. Once they touch the top or the sides of the box, you've got problems developing. So all different size boxes, slightly different moisture content, they're all ready to go. These boxes have not got airtight lids, so even when they're closed, they're not fully airtight. For most species, that's all the ventilation you'll need. Once a week, feel free to just gently lift up a corner, open the incubator, let some fresh air in, more than enough. For some that don't like it particularly wet, crebos for instance, I'll put just a couple of 5mm drill holes in, maybe one this side and one that side, just to let a bit of airflow go across the top there within the incubator. But really, you don't need much else. You certainly don't want lots of air holes thinking that your eggs need to breathe like that. They don't. And that'll of course mean your humidity will all escape over time. There will be less and less humidity in the hatch box as the development of the egg continues. Some of these crebos are dry mark on, you're looking at 120 days round and about. That's a long time. You've got to keep them safe and well. You don't want too big of fluctuations, certainly for some species indeed. So they'll be stacked in there. There'll be a thermostat running, just one heat mat, not too high a power. That'll be shut. If you use too much heat or too powerful a heat source, whether it's cable or heat mat, when the thermostat cuts off, it will still be emitting too much heat and you'll get up and down spikes in your egg incubation. You want it to just be a nice steady heat. There is on the channel how to make an incubator, how I make my incubators. Down here, the first eggs of the year are running, and in here are and impossible to get at. Oh no, here we go. A clutch of yellowtail crebo eggs. Again, relatively dry hatch box. You can see the moisture on the side, heating element at the back there, thermometer probe, hang on guys, just there. You don't want that probe touching anything, but one thing I do sometimes is for my really specialist eggs, I'll make a hole and I'll put the probe inside maybe the most important hatching box, not touching anything, but so it's directly reading the air temperature in there. So we're waiting for more eggs, but for now, I hope the video has been of some use. If you're just starting out breeding snakes and you're a bit confused and you just want someone to say, just do it like this, and honestly, it'll work. So if it's not on show, it doesn't even matter what your incubator looks like. It needs to be clean and sterilized out inside, and your thermostat needs to be reliably running without too big a up and down spikes in the temperature. And for most of the time, really, it needs to be left alone. And of course, if you see a definite moldy egg, that's definitely a goner, get it out or put it in a separate box if you're really not sure. Better than leaving it in amongst another clutch of healthy eggs. But yeah, just an old fridge freezer turned into a very reliable colubrid snake egg incubator. Just a quick one, hope it helps some of you. There is another video on the site here, on the channel, how I built my incubators. Dead cheap, dead easy, dead reliable. See you soon.